everybody and welcome to my very first F1 2018 video on my channel, and this is my F1 2018 career mode. I have never done a career mode on my channel before, so this is going to be a very first experience for me of how I approach it. I thought I will do stuff which is out of my comfort zone, and a lot of you guys want to see some career mode content from me, so that is what I'm doing. So what you can see in the background at the moment is me updating my driver details for the career mode here, ready to get started. I was inching to play the game as soon as I got it on Thursday morning in the post. A lovely postman delivered it a day early, and to be honest, my impressions of the game so far is extremely good, especially the offline content, and I'm very excited for you to see. I decided to choose for a blue helmet there, and I've chosen my abbreviated name, as you can see, and there wasn't many driver audio options for me, so I chose one which was similar to my surname, which was Bell. It was the closest, so I thought, why not? And if any of you haven't catch my career mode choice reveal video, you may not know what team I have chosen. I decided to choose for the amazing Force India, the Pink Panthers. I thought that I might get them back to glory again, see if I can get a chance to get them some podiums, secure position in the top 10. So I had a choice of teammates to either be Sergio Perez or Esteban Ocon. I chose Esteban Ocon because he has so much potential as a Mercedes junior driver, so I thought, why not? And he got third place in qualifying yesterday, which was absolutely amazing, so great stuff for him. So I was changing my career setup. I did record my career mode episode before, but it was a lower AI setting, so I had to re-record it and change it to a setting that was comfortable for me, which was at 80 AI hard. I may bump it up if it gets too easier for me, but we will have to wait and see. But right now, let's get started with the career mode episode in Australia.
Thanks for coming by. I'm sure you're very anxious to get out on track. It's taken a lot of effort to get to F1. Congratulations. But the real work starts now. This is
Claire, motorsports journalist. Nice to meet you. You'll be seeing quite a lot of me throughout the season. So, you had a pretty impressive junior career. How are you feeling about your move into F1? Do you think you have what it takes?
Let's save the questions for a proper interview, shall we? I'm sure you'll have a lot more to talk about once there's been some action on track. I think we could fit you in after FP1 if you're free.
That works for me. I'll grab you the second you finish on the track.
Remember, the relationship you have with the team can be affected by what you say to the media, so be careful. Anyway, it's time to catch up with Carl. He's waiting for you in the data center. Good luck out there today.
Welcome to the data center. Here, we've got access to all kinds of information, including car telemetry, weather, lap times, tyre wear, the list goes on. Plus, we've got a direct link back to the factory, so we're in constant communication with the team there. We need you to regularly feedback about areas of the car that are lacking and help us direct our resources in the most productive way. More effort here equals a quicker car, so it's well worth the effort. Good luck this season. Oh, and make us all look good, okay?
Welcome to your new team. Force India have spent the last 10 years or so building themselves up from a backmarker to a very real force to be reckoned with. They're ambitious and resourceful, and they'll expect you to be the same.
So there you have it then. Carl was giving us an introduction to the way that we develop parts in this R&D situation, and we did have a quick look to see what parts we would develop a bit more in the car. Now the powertrain, we were quite ahead of some other teams because obviously we were a Mercedes powered team, so we would concentrate a bit more on the chassis and the aerodynamics a little bit more, which I'll go through more of this a bit later on in the episode to find out what parts I've actually chosen. So very excited for that. Now looking at the track temperatures and the weather, is looking to be a dry race, which is absolutely good news to start off our career in Formula 1. But right now, let's get off with practice.
Welcome to Melbourne, where the practice session is about to start for this weekend's Australian Grand Prix. The pre-race talking is over. Now it's time for the drivers to show their worth. I'm here with Anthony Davidson once again. Nice to see you, Ant, and I wanted to ask you about how you go about improving the car over the course of a practice session. How much would you say is already known from the pre-race simulations, and how much do you have to do, how much do you have to work on with a real car on a real circuit?
Well, that's a good question, Crofty, and I suppose the simple answer is that there's no such thing as too much information. As you say, the bigger teams have very complex simulations, vast numbers of clever people crunching the numbers back at base, but what they can't tell you is stuff like how the track condition's going to be, or what the temperature's going to be doing over the course of the day, and how all of that's going to be interacting with the tyre. There are so many millions of tiny variables involved in getting these cars around a racetrack quickly, but the computer can't tailor the car to a driver's specific balance requirements. At some point, you still need to put a human being in there and have them feel it through the seat of their pants. And that's why we end up with different drivers having different setups. So what I'm trying to say is, Crofty, nothing beats on-track testing.
So as you can see, these are the practice programs that we have on offer this weekend. We are doing a few per practice session, and it's a very good way for us to get used to the track in the Force India and see how the handling works. And I must say, the handling is very good this game during the offline mode. And the first practice program we are going to attempt is the track acclimatization, and our goal is to try and complete as many gates as fast as we possibly can, and also hit the DRS zones as well, because DRS gains also possible speed as well. As you can see, not clean as we would like, but we still got a lot of purples and a lot of greens as well. And the good news, I have to say, is we were able to complete the first lap in the green zone, so that was very, very good, and we were able to get a green score. But we wanted to aim higher than that, so we decided to go on for another lap and see if we can get into the purples. Now this lap looked a bit more cleaner from us. We got a few more purples this time, especially in the DRS zones, and as we crossed the finish line then, and we were able to get in the purple zone, and Jeff was very happy with that, ready to go on to our next practice program, which was the tyre wear, which means we had to complete the target lap time and make sure we get into at least the green and purple zone with managing our tyres. And I felt that this was a very easy program for me. I was able to approach the corners with good speed. I wasn't going too fast in corners, because if I was going too fast in corners, that would cost me to go more into the red zone. And we were able to complete that with a purple, which I was really happy with that, and Jeff was very happy with that as well. And this was the last session we completed in practice one. Let's see how well we did.
As all the cars are now over the line, your top three again are Hamilton, Hülkenberg and Max Verstappen. Practice times are on the board then, but no points are on offer just yet. We'll be back with more F1 action soon.
So lap time's not as fast as we thought, but we still had 2 more practice sessions to make sure we get a good speed. And now it's time for the interviews with Claire.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective. It's been a lot of hard work, but here you are making your debut in Formula One. You must be thrilled.
So for each of the questions, I had 4 options that Claire has given me, and I chosen one where the hard work doesn't stop there, just because I'm in F1, which I thought was good. And I had a few more questions to ask from Claire as well, and I had to be careful what questions I asked, because the reputation for the Force India team, the chassis department and other teams can impact on the questions and types of answers I answer as well. And it does get quite repetitive at times with the questions I ask, but Claire does remember the questions and answers that you give.
Great. Well, that's everything.
So all in all, a very good practice session with some very good lessons learnt, in my opinion, ready to take to the track. So we scored some really good points, and we were able to gain 250 resource points, which gave us a total of 1,950 resource points to deal with the R&D. Our reputation with other teams and our own team looks good as well as the attitude preferences. Way in the middle at the moment, but I'm sure we can get into the sportsmanship level that the team expects us pretty soon. We're keeping our fingers crossed right there. So as you can see, we move on to the resource tree and we start to look at work on our chassis, including the lightweight energy resource cells, which I think need improving, and a couple of other things from the aerodynamics. We decided to look a bit more into it and see which one was the best, and we thought that the front wing flat will be the best option. We will look at the rear wing later, but the front wing does provide us with a bit more downforce to make sure that we get the things we need, and we actually decided to add some more things to the chassis as well if needed once we get more resource points. But next we move on to practice 2 and practice 3, where we were able to go into our qualifying strategy and produce a few laps from there, and race strategy was looking good as well. We managed to get a few green laps there, which was very good for us, and Jeff was pretty happy with our performance, and we were able to save a lot of fuel as well when we got to the fuel saving program coming up now. So basically, if you're wondering what the fuel program is actually like, it's basically where you have to lift and coast to try and save as much fuel as possible. And as you can see, that was quite an easy program for us, and we were able to get about 2 seconds clear of that. So I was pretty impressed with our performance with that. Jeff was, so we were able to complete the program, ready to get into qualifying and gain some more resource points ready for later to develop the car as we get to the further stages. Now, the aerodynamics packages won't be in place for another 3 weeks, so we can't see upgrades until then, but it will be definitely worth it. So right now, let's get straight to qualifying.
Welcome to Melbourne, where qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix should be getting underway shortly. Looking at this field today, Ants, do you think we're going to see anyone take a chance, maybe run the harder of the available compounds and save some of the grippy tyres for the race tomorrow?
Well, I'd be surprised in all honesty. It's only the front runners that really have the pace to get away with that, and even then, at the end of the day, it's a big risk. Track position is the most important thing, and it's rarely worth sacrificing for a slightly more optimal strategy in the race, so I doubt we're going to see anyone trying it. I have been wrong before though. We certainly do see some risky decisions every now and then, and it's a gamble that's sometimes worth taking. But if it were me in the car, I would want to be on the fastest tyre for my qualifying lap, without a doubt.
Now we move on to one-shot qualifying to see if we can get our car into the top 10, which was what our aim was this weekend. And the team had a bit of low expectations more than us, but if we get through to the top 10, we would be pretty happy with our performance. Now, if you're wondering why we were doing one-shot qualifying instead of short qualifying or Q1, Q2 or Q3, that was because I forgot to change the settings at the beginning of the career mode. But don't you worry, I have changed it, so in future episodes we will do short qualifying, and as we get towards the end of the career mode and the second half of the season, we will change to a 3-part qualifying to see if we can get our car into Q3 there. So at the moment we were sitting in P5, but I know we can definitely do a lot better than that. But as we were doing a lot of practice programs, this helped us with qualifying a lot to see which moments that we were able to speed up a bit faster, use our fuel efficiently and catch up to the top runners. But as you can see, Lewis Hamilton is flying away like a hawk at the moment, and Raikkonen was able to take the position from Hamilton as well. So I don't know what happened with Hamilton that lap, but the position seemed to chop and change throughout the qualifying. But as we were able to cross the line, we qualified in P7, which is a very good lap for us. Definitely an improvement from the practice session, so I can take that. But as you can see, it was very, very good for us to show what we were made of.
As we wind down from the excitement of qualifying, here's a look at your top 3. Hamilton, Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel. It's time to leave for now, but we'll be back tomorrow when the Grand Prix itself gets underway.
So all in all, pretty impressed with our qualifying. As you can see, we got a 1:24.8, which was more than we set in practice, so we must have found a little bit more speed. I was actually quite shocked when I saw the timing sheet because we got 1:26 in practice sessions before, so I was absolutely happy with how I was able to take the team forward, and I really hoped that the team was impressed as well, and we possibly gained some good valuable resource points.
Well done.
And we
That
were
was a
able
good
to
qualifying
beat
performance.
our rival there. I think Ocon got about P11 or P12, I believe, in the rivalry, and that really helped us going into the race there to see what we can do.
drivers, new cars and a new Formula One season. But it's the same Albert Park that we've come to know and love for more than 2 decades now that hosts the first round of a 21 race championship, taking us from here in Melbourne, Australia, across the globe before we eventually reach the season finale at Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. Here's the track then, 16 corners, 6 to the left and 10 to the right. They make up the 3.3 miles around Albert Park Lake, with turn 1 and 3 providing the best opportunities to pass. We have plenty of changes to the sport this year with the addition of new safety features, the return of France and Germany in an expanded 21 race calendar and more tyre compounds than ever before. And of course, we have some big car manufacturers back in the sport too, with Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin returning as title sponsors for Sauber and Red Bull respectively. Joining me to take you through all the action of the 2018 Formula One season is Anthony Davidson. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, Crofty. Always happy to be here. I'm looking forward to getting underway. Last year was Mercedes' 4th Constructors' title in a row, although for the first half of the season, it was absolutely neck and neck with the Ferraris. Hopefully this year we can see the chasing pack take that final step, as I'd love to see a championship contest all the way up to the final race in Abu Dhabi. Another story to keep an eye on is the relative performance of McLaren and Toro Rosso, who have exchanged power unit suppliers this year. And given the additional restrictions on engine components, they need to be strong in terms of both performance and reliability.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, Bell, Hülkenberg, Sainz, Magnussen and Fernando Alonso. Grosjean, Raikkonen, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Stoffel Van Dorn and Hartley, Leclerc, Ocon, Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll. Sirotkin and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, we qualified higher than we were anticipating. Let's see if we can do just as well in the race.
Now, due to the fact Raikkonen did receive some penalties due to some issues, that pushed us up to P6 there, which I was really happy with, and hopefully this will help us during the race. Now, we decided to do an ultra soft to super soft strategy because we thought that would be the best strategy for us. 2 stops probably won't work out for us, and that will push us towards the back of the grid. So that's why the ultra soft to super soft strategy would be the fastest strategy for us, which will help us maximise our potential. Our goal was to stay in the top 10, of course. Anything higher than 6th place or more would be good for us. So we are just getting ready then to start our race. I was feeling a bit nervous going into this race to see if I could maintain these positions, because in online usually I don't. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that, as 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights, and it is lights out and away we go. And there was a bit of a slide from us which didn't really help us one bit, so that allowed Hülkenberg to concede the position, but we were able to gain position, probably in not the best of ways, I got to admit. That wasn't very clean, and we got a warning from collision with Verstappen, which was a bit of a shame. So hopefully we can maximise. Our moves were not very clean at the start of this lap, I can tell you that, but with time I will improve, as we almost collided into Vettel with there, and we didn't really want to get into some penalties, and that would decrease our rep with Force India if we were to gain a penalty. So we will try to stay clean as much as possible going into this race. And right now we are up into P4, so we gained 2 positions from that, which was higher than what we were expecting, but we couldn't afford to get complacent coming into this race. And Vettel, Raikkonen and Hamilton were already pulling up already, which didn't help us at one of the slightest. But as we were heading towards lap 3, as lap 2 wasn't really that exciting, it was just me having some clear air, but we had some pressure from the Red Bull teammate Daniel Ricciardo, and we managed to get a few fastest laps before Ricciardo beat us to it. I think it was probably due to the slipstream that Ricciardo had on us going into the final turn, the final DRS zone, as Ricciardo had a few more opportunities to gain some pace. I think we were much slower than Ricciardo, that's why he was able to catch up a little bit more time going into these corners there, as we clipped the corner a little bit too much there, which didn't help whatsoever. Now the tyre temperature was looking very, very good for us as we were going to this corner there. We bumped Ricciardo again, so not a very clean move, which I think we had to concede the position to Ricciardo there, because otherwise we would have had some more problems. So unfortunately we lost the position, but it was only fair. It was a sportsmanship-like behaviour that if we made a mistake, we had to concede the position really. So it was a bit of a shame for that, but hopefully we could gain Ricciardo on the pit stops. We had a few more chances to gain a position from Ricciardo going into the turn 2 and turn 3 there, but that didn't work out. But we had Verstappen hot on our trails as well, coming up as well. So we are basically in a Red Bull sandwich going into this Australian Grand Prix, and that didn't help us at all. I was a little bit under pressure from those two. Maybe Verstappen was trying our best to hold us up so we wouldn't catch Ricciardo. So maybe there's a little bit of team orders rivalry coming up there. So Verstappen got us in the same position as Ricciardo did a few laps later, and that didn't help us in the slightest. And another very bad move which got Raikkonen into 6th place. So we definitely need to improve on our overtaking move if we need to go far in this career mode. And as we go into the pit window, we didn't go into the pit box smoothly as we wanted, and we are about to change our tyres then into the super soft, which will hopefully see us to the end of the race. And by looking at what Jeff was saying, it would end up in P20 at the moment, but we are one of the first guys to pit, which would help us in the long run as we were able to gain the similar positions and maintain the field there. So luckily we didn't lose out too much with this pit stop, and having those fresher tyres and the super soft, it was able to provide us with a bit more grip. As Ricciardo, I think we managed to jump Ricciardo in that pit stop as well, so we got the undercut done quite nicely. So I was very impressed, but I think Ricciardo was definitely hot on our trail again. He definitely didn't want to be behind us because we were very slow at times, and this might not have helped us whatsoever there. But I think Ricciardo seemed to go ahead of us, and we were under pressure from Raikkonen as well, as a lot of the people at the back were pitting, so that has got back to the position we were before the pit stops, which was P6. But the next person we had to deal with was Hulkenberg, but I think we got in another Raikkonen sandwich again, and I think we clipped him a little bit, and it forced us right there. So we were not careful. I wasn't listening to my advice here. Definitely improve on overtakes, Jessica. Otherwise, you won't be going too far there, as Hulkenberg is gaining 1.1 seconds already. So I was a bit worried because he might have overtaken us, and we are going to the third or fourth DRS zone of the circuit, and this could be our chance to defend Hulkenberg. And I think we possibly had a little bit of contact from Hulkenberg, and he dropped a few positions, and I think he has retired or gained a bit of front wing damage. I'm not entirely sure. I kind of felt guilty from Hulkenberg of causing that incident there. So not the best of moves. So the safety car was there for a few laps, and we had to maintain the speed with the safety car, and that's why there wasn't much coverage with the safety car, because we had to catch up with the cars there. So that kind of helped us in a way, but I think it was an unfair advantage for the people up front, and we had to make sure we had to defend off Verstappen, because another Red Bull sandwich again helped us in the slide. So Hamilton, Vettel, Bottas, Raikkonen, Ricciardo, just like in real life, but instead it's us in P6 and Verstappen in P7. So we got to make sure that we would benefit from this safety car, that we would pull away from the rest of the field, that we will be best of the rest from the Red Bulls and the Mercedes and the Ferraris. So hopefully we will do that. So the safety car came in, we were speed racing, and we didn't gain as much speed as we wanted there. That's allowed Verstappen to close it in a little bit there, but as we were going towards the final few laps of the race. So I think also Ricciardo also pulled away ever so slightly there, which didn't help us a lot there. DRS was disabled for the first few laps after the safety car due to the fact of the Hulkenberg incident, which was probably definitely caused by us. But hopefully in the next race in Bahrain, we'll be able to improve on our race pass a little bit more. But that's the whole point of our career mode. The main reason why I wanted to do this career mode in the first place was definitely improve on that. So we are keeping our core on that. So we were able to try and save some fuel strategy as much as possible. I was worried that we were running out of fuel ever so slightly, as we were getting a bit under pressure from Verstappen. We were able to try and close in onto Ricciardo going into turn 3, but as we went a little bit wide there, it allowed Verstappen to go past us there, and a little bit of mistake from us again caused us to drop back. And I was a bit worried there that this would affect our tyres, so we're getting a bit hot going into a few corners there, which causes a bit of understeer at times, so we had to do a bit of lifting coasting to try and make sure we would manage our tyres going into the final few laps as well. And fuel management was definitely key going to the last lap, as if we ran out of fuel in the first opening race, Force India wouldn't be too happy. So we had to make sure that we keep up the pace there as much as possible. So we are on the final lap of this Grand Prix. Verstappen was too far ahead of us for us to catch up, and we had to make sure Magnussen didn't overtake us, because that would have been a loss in position. But we were able to maintain our position as we did in qualifying, so that was good. But maybe if we didn't have many mistakes, we could have got P5 or P4. But the race wasn't over yet until the last turn of the last lap, so we didn't give up, but we had to make sure that we burn a bit of fuel, but make sure that we save some fuel as well, as Jeff was telling us that we were running out of excess fuel, so we couldn't use more fuel than we wanted to, so we had to keep into standard mix there for the rest of the race, which was a bit of a shame really, to be honest, as we were going to the final lap. We were under pressure from Magnussen. Were we able to keep our position? Yes, we were. We managed P6 on our first opening race for Force India, and I would take that, even though we could have gone P4, but oh well, it was better than what our teammate did anyway, so pretty happy with it.
Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. Tell me, Ant, what was the key to this success?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
Here come our winning drivers then, out onto the podium at the end of a thrilling Grand Prix. The drama and excitement are over, and it's time to let it all sink in. Congratulations to our top 3 today. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Sebastian Vettel takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Moving on to the driver of the day then. Anthony Davidson, who would you go for?
I'll probably go for Pierre Gasly. The team did a good job with the strategy to put him in amongst the pack, but it's the driver's job to capitalise on those opportunities, and he did so with a lot of skill.
On to the constructors then. Mercedes moved to the top of the table. After all that excitement, it's time for a lie down, I think. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye until the next race.
Amazing performance out there. You must be really happy.
You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
And I was very happy with the performance I did, and I couldn't do without a great team, so that's why I've chosen this question.
It wasn't the cleanest race today, was it?
Now, I wasn't sure what to do with this question, so I chose I'm not sure what happened there, and Force India's wet with the crease.
Appreciate your time.
To be honest, I didn't know what to make of that interview. We had one really good question, but there was one question I was really stumped on, and that's what I very liked about the interviews. Your reputation can change with the team and other teams, so you've got to really think carefully, especially when you have 10 seconds to decide what your answer is. And there was only 2 answers. 2 of them didn't look like the status of options, but to be honest, we should have chosen the one where I looked like a complete doofus, because after watching back the footage, it did see that we were making a few careless mistakes as well. So that was a bit of a shame for us then. But all in all, great start of the race, and we got some valuable points for the team. So thank you for watching this career mode episode 1, and I really hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time for the Bahrain Grand Prix.